Josh Lake, I was on camera the whole 4 hours.
We're live.
I'll just sit back down. I'll wait.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, we're live.
We're live. Okay.
We're live.
We're live. May I call the meeting to order? Is that okay with you two? Okay. I'd like to call the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Stand please for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
Here.
Commissioner Lubke,
Here.
Commissioner Franzine. Here. Commissioner Hoag,
Here.
and Commissioner Barrows is absent today.
Okay, thank you. Stand for open forum. Anybody here who would like to speak? Do we have anything that's been handed in?
We do not.
Okay, so anybody here would like to speak for 3 minutes that is not on the agenda? Okay, we'll go with that. Now we'll go with number 3, review and approve the minutes for the regular board meeting.
Motion to approve the March 26th board meeting minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye, motion carried. Review and approve the agenda. Any additions or deletions from the agenda?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by roll call.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke.
Aye, motion carried. Consent agenda, anything that we need to discuss on that? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
No second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Roll
Commissioner
call.
Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke.
Aye, motion carried. Public hearing. Now is time for a public hearing at, are we okay at 9:05?
Mr. Chair, we are a little early.
We're a
and
little
so-
early. Do you have
Yep.
anything you'd like to add and fill in that time?
I certainly could, otherwise I would suggest we could move on with the Land Services report.
Okay. So let's go right on to land services and then we'll come back to our public hearing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning, we have 2 requests for you today for a preliminary and final plat of Grant Woods Addition. This is located in Section 17 of Jenkins Township with a parcel ID of 72350565. This plat may look familiar to you as actually was before you and approved for final plat in September of 2023, but unfortunately the plat was not recorded within 120 days, which nullified the plat and the subsequent approval of the county board, which means that the applicant needed to reapply. The applicant has reapplied for the preliminary and final plat. And the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment held a public hearing at their last meeting on March 21st and recommended approval of the preliminary plat to the county board. Staff reviewed the plat and findings as well and recommended approval. There are 2 separate actions that needed today. Would be one for the preliminary plat and then one for final. This is again located up here. It's over on Upper Hay. It's a riparian lot. They're creating 3 lots. It's an existing road here on North Oak Drive, so they're not creating any new roads. It's a pretty simple plat. There's no need for developer's agreement or anything along those lines. So, and it's just a simple 3-lot plat. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'd recommend approval of the preliminary plat as it's been submitted.
Anybody have any questions? It's been here before.
You already approved it once.
Motion to approve.
I will second that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogg?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye, motion carried.
We just need another motion to approve the final plat.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogg?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye, motion carried. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Chris. Now we're on to county engineer. Oh, wait, excuse me, go back to 6-1. I didn't draw an arrow there. Okay, public hearing, 9:05.
Mr. Chair, if I can introduce the topic?
Please do.
We have a public hearing scheduled for the Community Development Block Grant, Coronavirus Grant. It was the broadband project that we did out in the Trumbull and Trumbull area. And so basically, this was a program that came from HUD, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, because of the CARES Act funding that went to them. $25 million dedicated to broadband. Eligible areas had to meet specific income criteria defined by HUD. The maximum award per applicant was $5 million. Local units of government were eligible applicants. The program was administered by DEED, which is a little bit different because usually we got broadband grants coming through the Office of Broadband Development, but this one came through the Small Cities Development Team. We found one area that was eligible in Crow Wing County, and we discussed a proposal with some of our area vendors and issued an RFP. We did agree to be the applicant, and CTC, a local telephone co-op, was the successful bidder on the project. They also agreed to handle as much of the grant management work as possible, so they submitted all of the project implementation. They made the financial match. There was no cost to Crow Wing County. The application was submitted in May of '21. They requested $4.5 million with a $500,000 CTC match. They were awarded a little over $5 million in fall of '21. They spent much of 2022 complying with the startup documentation that was required for the HUD grant and the DEED Small Cities program. Construction occurred last summer in '23, and DEED allowed up to an additional $500,000 in supplemental funding that they received due to project increases, which CTC applied for and was granted. This public hearing is really just the final step in the project closeout, and so, Mr. Chair, I would suggest you open it for public comment on that CDBG broadband grant program, if there are any.
Okay, I will open the public hearing for the second public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant for coronavirus. Do I need to read any more than that?
Mr. Chair,
Move to open. the
Oh, I
public
need to
hearing.
make a motion to open. Okay, make a motion to open.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Move.
Motion made and seconded.
Commissioner Coring seconded.
Okay, all in favor? Is that an all in favor, or you just open it?
That's a roll call.
That's a roll call, okay?
Commissioner Hogg?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye.
And Mr. Chair, now it would be proper to take any public comment that anybody would have on the block grant program.
Is there anybody in the audience or online that has public comment to this public hearing?
There's no one online.
No one online? Do I need to say that 3 times? Anybody in the audience or online for public comment in regards to this hearing that we have? Anybody online or in the audience that has comment for this public hearing that we have in front of us?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Roll call again.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogg?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are no action that is necessary after the public hearing. This was a requirement of the grant that we hold a public hearing and take public comment on how well the grant went. I take it that no public comment means it went fairly well.
Okay. Thank you. On to county engineer. Engineer Bray.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I have 6 items for you today. 6 items. And with your permission, I'd like to consideration to change the order a little bit. So I have 5 bid openings and request for award to contractors. And then the last one, I'd like to go with the highway improvement plan approval, if that's okay.
Sure, that's fine, sir.
I always wonder about which order is best, but, so the first one I'll start with, Teresa, did you catch that? We're a little bit so out of order. It'll be I believe it's this one. This is the consideration of award a contract for bit spot patching. So every year, our maintenance division puts together a list of potential areas that could benefit from, that's not quite it, sorry.
Okay, which contract are you
Okay.
talking about? This is 24005.
This is 24011.
Okay, so you're really going out of order then,
I guess so.
because that's 8.5 on the agenda.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
It's my consent.
we should have collaborated
Yeah,
before.
there was a couple of these. It's fairly customary to put these on the consent agenda, and I was asked to talk about each one of these, so it's a little out of order from that, so.
We're fine, Tim.
We're here, it's ready.
Okay. Bit spot patching, contract, looking for approval of the award to contract. Bit spot patching is something that we do each year, a contract to deal with some of the areas that are isolated and maybe breaking up. Think about it as kind of piecing it together, putting a Band-Aid on a small portion of the road to kind of keep it going until the next mill and overlay or other project that we have. Some of these are identified areas. One of the primary areas associated with this one is the western part of CASA 2 that is in need of some isolated areas of attention. And then it's also customary to have unidentified areas and the quantity in the contract so we can address areas that we don't know yet. Of course, right now, the load restriction just came off and the southern part of our county, and we're still witnessing exactly what have maybe been damaged over the winter and now into this spring. And so it's unidentified areas right now, but that quantity is at Jory's disposal and his crew to be able to address areas that pop up, that will inevitably pop up, and we'll notice over the next few weeks. So this year we had 2 bidders, and the low bidder was Knife River Corporation, and you can see a bid summary there. We were a little bit over what the low bid was, 27% under was their bid. So I don't ever consider that a savings necessarily, it's just less than we anticipated. So my recommendation is to award the bit spot patching for 2024 with the appropriate project numbers to Knife River Corporation for the low bid of $314,187.
Tim, can I ask a question?
Of course.
So when you do that, do you drive around, or does one of your engineers drive around and look at the roads and say, hey, this is what we've got? And then when you send it out for bid, you say, these are the primary areas we're looking at, and then you leave it open for other areas that may show up and just leave a little extra in there for that? Is that how this is done?
Yes, and so we're constant, our maintenance folks really have a good handle on what's happening out there. They're out there snow plowing, they're out there crack sealing and those things. So our maintenance department at Jory Danielson, over here to my right, is the one that really puts together this each year. They have eyes on the ground more so than the engineering department.
So when the bidders are bidding against it, they pretty much know exactly what they're looking at doing, and you know what exactly they're bidding for.
We're bidding a quantity a lot of times, but there may be some specific areas identified, like the western part of CASA 2. Others, it's just open quantity. For example, the FAD, there's really 2
Right.
contracts here.
Yeah.
The FAD, we're not sure yet, but we know we have some weak pavements and thin pavements that are susceptible to spring
Yeah.
breakup. So we have those quantities in there for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, Tim, are these bids open to our area cities and towns as well?
I'm not sure on this one. Maybe Jory can answer that. We do reach out to our cities and towns and some of the other contracts I'll go over today, we do have some partners on. I'm not sure if this one does or not.
Yes, they are. We encourage all of our city and township partners to get on board if they have a project in the area. This year, we had only one township get on with our crack sealing contract, and that was Oak Lawn Township. Last year, I think we had 4 different partners on our various maintenance contracts.
I think it's cool that they just open it. You know, it's not like they have to. They can do it themselves if they wish to, but it's just a nice thing to do for area cities and towns. We already bid it, and so they don't have to worry about bid law considerations because we did it for them.
And we can extend some economy of scale savings. You know, one
yep.
bid spot patch for a township would be quite expensive, and it's much lower bid prices if it's part of a larger one that we do.
It's
Mr.
not
Chair.
either. Do we want to do these separately then?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Coring had a question.
Paul?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just, my question just got answered. Are we going to take these individually? If we're taking them individually, then I would move the County Board of Commissioners in Crow Wing County approve 24011 and award the bid to Knife River.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Roll call.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Contract 240011 passed.
Which one do you want?
9, please, 009. I'm sorry about that.
Okay,
that's
well,
8.4.
24009.
It's 8.4, I guess.
Yeah, 8.4.
Okay.
Okay, next.
The next contract I'm asking for consideration for is our annual pavement marking contracts. And you may remember last year that we had about a 40% increase over our estimate. And similar to last year, we only had one bidder this year. And so pavement markings have been something we've been looking at since that happened last year. We've reached out to other bidders, other contractors to say, like, please come and take a look at what we have. Competition equals better pricing. And despite that, we still only received the one bidder for Sir Lines-A-Lot. And it represents a 16% increase over, I believe that's what it is, 16% increase over last year. So we adjusted our bid pricing, our engineer's estimate based on what we learned last year, but it still came in higher. And this is such an integral part of the safety that we provide on our roadways that it's not just something that we would lightly discard the bid. We need to do this, and there's nobody else to do it. And that's an unfortunate situation. It's a little more expensive than we thought, but it's so important. Just to give you an idea, in 2022, we were paying about 5 or 6 cents a linear foot for these markings, and now we're up to about an average about 10. So it's almost doubled in price. And so it's just a few cents per linear feet, but when you consider we're doing about 3 million linear feet every year, it really adds up. And despite the over our engineer's estimate or anticipated cost of $380,000, I'm still recommending, because it's so important for the safety of our roadways, to move forward with this bid and also continue to ask other bidders to become interested or find ways where this isn't the same bidder. You know, there's no competition. We have nothing against this bidder. It's just no competition equals higher prices, and we owe that to the residents to try to find bidders.
And in your opinion, still cheaper than us trying to do it ourselves?
I think we are not capable of doing it. You have a machinery need, and these things are very expensive. You need personnel. You need trained personnel. This is not a machine that you just jump in and you have a driver's license. I can think of a terrible scenario where all our lines are like this, and because they're not experienced. So what comes with this bid price is a talented crew that's done it for us a lot, and they know what they're doing. And I think it's still our job to reach out to other bidders, get them interested. My colleagues in other counties are dealing with the same thing, and we've been talking about it, but have not found a solution yet. So despite
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Oh, Tim, I guess I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Commissioner Coring?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if there's no other conversation, I would move that the County Board of Commissioners in Crow Wing County approve contract 24009 and award it to Sir Lancelot.
Sir Lancelot.
I don't think that's the right one, is it?
Yeah,
It is.
Sir Lancelot.
Sir Lancelot. I was
Okay.
trying to be a little funny.
Or we had discussion yet, or?
Yeah,
I just had a question, maybe Tim or Tim. Have we ever considered bidding these type of scenarios where there's only one? Or is time going to be I don't even know if it's legal, but
I think we certainly can.
We can,
I think the issue for us is probably whether or not it would result in any difference. On the front end, these guys are trying their darndest to
Yeah,
scare
yeah.
up alternatives. And so after they have put all that effort into trying to scare up the alternatives, we could reject the bid and do that work again, but I don't think it's going to result in any difference.
okay.
So I think at some point, there probably should be a regional dialogue, and this might be something that we could do on a regional basis.
makes somewhat sense
And I think about Commissioner Barrows in particular and his service on the Sourcewell Board. That might be something that they would want to take up for us in the region, because there are 5, 6, 10 counties around here who are experiencing the exact same thing. If indeed we could do it cheaper than the private sector can do it, then we should do it ourselves. If the private sector can do it cheaper than us, then they should do it.
Yep.
Right now, at the rate this is going up, they're pricing themselves to the point where it's getting close to where we could do it ourselves if we did it cooperatively. And so I do think they're going to price themselves out of our business if they keep going.
I have another question, too. If we would reject this bid at this point, would this Sir Lancelot have to rebid too, and could they come in then with a higher bid?
I believe they can.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then,
We did do a little investigation, or Rob did, called over to Aiken County. They did receive a second bidder, but Sir Lancelot still was lower than them. So even their competition would be higher. So even if that, we don't know why that person did not bid ours. Maybe they knew that they could not beat Sir Lancelot and just didn't want to put in a bid for us. I'm not sure, but even if we had the second bidder, it looks like that's willing to work in the local area. It sounds like they would have been the low bidder. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Coring.
You know, just another little tidbit, not that I'm defending this bid, certainly not, I don't even know who they are, but I don't know if anybody's ever gotten any paint lately. Just got a can of paint at Ace Hardware. Of course, they, put the color I want, $54. Everything's just seems like it's going crazy, building materials and paint, and I'm just wondering if their input costs have gone up dramatically. So that might be a part of it too, or maybe they've got the corner on the market. It's hard to know, but everything's going up, and I know we don't like it. Wages are going up, and so anyway, that's it.
I think that's something we should look at, down the road, but I think we have a bid in front of us and we have a timely thing to get it done, so. But I think that's something we should look at down the road.
There is a motion on the floor to
Okay.
approve the bid. There is no second.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried. Next contract.
next contract is 014, which is 8.6. Boy, I'm way out of order. The next contract I have for you is for aggregate surfacing. So every year, we we're in a 5-year rotation on our county roads for resurfacing the gravel portions. And this year, portions of the FAD, that are on the county system, so County Road 105, which is gravel, County Road 141 in Commissioner Hoag's district, and then the whole second assessment district, so all the 6 miles of gravel that they have, we are going to do this year. It also includes some of the gravel maintenance and replacement off of the roads adjacent in the first assessment district off of County Road 3 south of Merrifield. And so this year, we had a number of bidders. This one was interesting because we had bid it earlier and we had no bidders. And we're not sure exactly why. And once we rebid it and got on the horn and kind of got to talking to some potential bidders, we ended up with 4 bids and a few other people that were interested. And I'm not sure quite why, but this year, the low bidder was DLL Excavating, which was $486,793, and that was 13% over our engineer's estimate, and another double-digit over our anticipated cost, but still recommending that we move forward with it. This gravel maintenance is an important part of our system, and just like paint, all commodities and all things are going up in price. And there's some good competitive bids there. So my recommendation is to move forward with the bid and award it to DLL Excavating for the sum of $486,793.
Any comments from board?
Maybe a quick question. DLL, have we done work with them before?
I believe they've had the bid for the last couple
okay.
cycles, so they're very familiar with it. I'm not certain why they didn't bid the very first round, but.
Okay.
And are they from Little Falls? Okay, thanks.
We need a motion to
Yes.
approve? I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke.
Aye. Motion carried. You have one more or 2 more there? I'm a
Actually, I have 2
little confused on your numbers. You're jumping
I know,
around.
it's agenda item 8.3.
Okay, good.
It's contract 24008. It's culvert lining. So in recent years, we've had an annual culvert lining project. This is a time saver for us and a quality thing for us, and lessens the impact of traffic. So think of, instead of excavating out the roadway, having gravel for a while, maybe even a detour if we have to, we have started this process of lining culverts. Think of it with a plastic pipe. There's a process where they line the pipe and spray, and I don't know exactly what the process is, but you end up with a basically plastic lining in this culvert, and it takes the place of maybe a rusted culvert or something like that. So we're doing those this year for projects that we know are on the horizon, looking into our 5-year plan, which like overlay projects or culverts that are failing that have been identified by maintenance. And so we had a bid, the low bidder is Subsurface Incorporated, which came in under, about 6% under our engineer's estimate. My recommendation is to move forward with awarding the bid for our 2024 culvert lining to Subsurface Incorporated for the sum of $180,600.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Just a question, so how do you determine a culvert should be lined versus replaced? Isn't the culvert a steel culvert, or are these all steel culverts, I would assume, right? You wouldn't line a cement culvert.
Mostly steel.
Okay.
There might be a situation where we have a failing concrete culvert. I can't recall one right now.
Once you line that culvert with the plastic, does that pretty much constitute like as if you would put in a plastic culvert?
Right, there's still some strength there. If it hasn't crushed the metal part, still adding some strength. And there's some strength added through the plastic lining as well.
And cost-wise, cheaper, I would definitely believe cheaper than tearing out a whole culvert and putting in.
It can be expensive, but if you think the impact of traffic and then you're creating a bump now in a road, you can never quite get these culvert excavations quite perfect. So there are a lot of benefits to it. They might be similar in cost when you add up all of the personnel costs, and that maybe even impacts to the public.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions from the board? Not, roll call?
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogg?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried. Which number is this one going to be?
Okay, this one's 005. This is agenda item
8.2.
8.2.
Okay.
The next one I have for you is the award of a contract for a bridge replacement. It's actually 2 box culverts. It's up on County Road 1, pardon me, it's CASA 43. This is a road that's shared with Cass County. And there's a really interesting backstory to this. This bridge was actually, it currently, in its current state, is in Cass County and is inspected by Cass County. But through the design process and a small movement, it will become a Crow Wing County bridge. It'll kind of be just over the line. And so we've been enjoying a nice partnership with Cass County. They actually did the design work and had the contract to get the bridge designed, I guess. And we are going to actually do the construction and do the construction oversight. So there's a good partnership there. We're sharing the costs of the bridge. We'd also gotten some state dollars to take care of this bridge. So
When you do that, because like you said, it was in Cass and now, and I know that where that bridge is, it was in Cass and it's moved now into Crow Wing. How are you splitting those costs up? I mean, they're getting rid of a bridge, right? And we're adding one to our inventory? So-
I don't know. It's been an interesting road. When we first started talking about it, we were all kind of scratching our head, and it was the alignment change. I mean, just slight modification into ours. So we're going to take on the inspection of it, and we're splitting the cost based on, because there's a road portion that's going to be Cass County is to be responsible for, and a road section for us. So. We're splitting it equitably,
Okay,
and a lot of the grant dollars pays for a
doing
lot of
that,
it
yeah.
too, so.
Yeah, when it's in the district I serve, and so it's one of those northwest angle things. You have to go into Cass to get back into Crow Wing, and I was up at their annual meeting. It's the smallest township I think we've got in the whole county, so.
Yeah, that's in Gale Lake Township. Gale Lake Township.
Gale Lake, yeah.
So, let's see, sorry. So we had a lot of bidders on this one, and a lot of interest in this one. And we got some really competitive bids. The low bidder was Marvin Treader Incorporated, and it came in at just about 27% under our anticipated cost. And so my recommendation is to award the bid to replace our County 43 bridge project to Marvin Treader for the sum of $680,147.
Any other questions from the board?
Has he ever done any work for us before?
He's familiar to us. I'm not sure if he's done a recent bridge for us.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes, you know what?
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Paul.
You looking for a second? You looking for a second?
Yeah. Motion made.
I'll
and-
second,
Yeah.
I'll second that. A comment, if I may, Mr.
Yes.
Chair. Tim, I believe, the Treader, they just did the one on my road on 22. Correct?
I'm sorry, I don't recall who the low bidder
Oh,
was on
He's
that
down
one.
in the Fort Ripley area, isn't he? Isn't
Yes.
Mr. Treader down?
Yeah,
in
he's
your
right
area?
over the county line, Mr. Chair. He's down in Morrison County, but they did do if you remember, Tim, you and I went down there on 22 and this last summer.
Okay. I
Do you
was,
remember replacing that culvert?
I think the one that you're referring to is on 23. It was actually
Oh, on
Cool
23.
Excavating. That's the one that we met on. So that was the second low bidder.
Any other questions?
2 points, now that you brought Hool Excavating up. That is some shirt tail relation of mine. I think it is the wife of a deceased relative who runs that, so that's my disclosure. Marvin Treader is a contractor that has been familiar to me in road building for decades, and so he's a reputable contractor.
Yeah, he's in Piers. He has 16 active projects going on right now.
So we've had a motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
My crack staff just reminded me that Marvin Treader did do, my smartwatch here, did do CASA 22 Bridge and also did Dean Lake up in the second assessment district last year for us. I get them all mixed up.
So I was
You were
right.
correct.
You were correct.
You were
Commissioner
correct.
Coring.
I was just on my phone trying to
Oh
make
my
sure I
God.
was correct.
Well, Rob, so the staff is certainly watching and keeps me in the straight and narrow. So thank you, Rob, and thank you to my smartwatch for keeping me.
It's
So
an amazing
next,
time to be alive.
you had something else?
Yes, I do. The next thing I have is my annual summary of the highway improvement plan. This year, it's the 24 to 28 highway improvement plan. Of course, this is a follow-up. This is agenda item 8.1. Follow-up to the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting that you all attended on March 5th out at the Highway Department. This is where we all get together with your constituent representatives to talk about everything related to the Highway Department, and then also go over the proposal for the new highway improvement plan. Let's see, am I changing it?
No, I'm switching screens. Hold on. Did you say, are you in charge of it? I don't think,
I am in charge of it.
oh, did it work?
It worked.
Oh, great.
Okay, on the cover this year, just direct your attention, this is the 210 CASA 31 roundabout over in Crosby. And this was a great project. This, if you recall, this is the one that Steve Stroshine designed essentially by himself, starting during COVID, and then brought it all the way through construction. And consequently, one that he was nominated for Project Manager of the Year by the Minnesota County Engineers Association, and then will represent Minnesota at the National Association of County Engineers Conference coming up in a few weeks. You would authorize out-of-state travel for him to go, hopefully accept that award. And so we're all very proud of him and this project, and that's a fantastic picture of that roundabout. I just want to highlight that that is on the trunk highway system, and I also feel very proud that our staff has been entrusted by MnDOT to build and design and build that stuff on their system. And I don't think a lot of counties in greater Minnesota have been entrusted with that, so it's something to be very proud of. Okay. Here's a summary of everything that you're going to see that we're going to build over the next 5 years, starting this year. And I do this as a summary to kind of see where all the money is going. We do have a lot of sources of money. So the 5 years construction plan here incorporates about $88 million of total investment. That's federal money, county state aid, our levy, and some of those other sources. So 8.2 of federal money. This is the ones that we get when we compete with some of my colleagues at Region 5 for the annual block grants. It also includes safety dollars that we compete for. And so that's about 8.2. That is 8.2 over the next 5 years. County state aid, this is what is generated from the gas tax and the small portion that we get. And now starting to include sales tax on auto parts and things like that. That's coming to us. On the next line, it's the Crow Wing County road and bridge levy, so you can see how small that is. So the property tax levy is just a fraction of the total investment So our levy at the highway department is just a touch over 2 million. A lot of that may not go to road construction per se. We shore that up with the local option sales tax. $2.9 million in the first assessment district. You'll see in a few other slides that we're right at that level. We're trying to get 3 miles per year. That was our plan when we went into increasing our funding to get to that point. Local option sales tax over this period is $44.6 million. And that is actually surpasses all of the other combined almost. We're really close. So that is a very, very important part of our funding. And then with state bridge bonding funding, kind of like the 43 bridge, some of that funding was through that. And then talking about another point we discussed earlier was the local cost sharing. We're anticipating that our partners, cities and townships, will join with us to the tune of about $3.6 million. So we're providing good value there. The total mileage, 148 miles, and you can see the breakdown there. I draw your attention to the bottom one, which is the miles funded by local option sales tax. This is the mileage you would not be able to do if we didn't have the local option sales tax. So we're doing 76 miles more than we normally would if the county board in 2015 had not adopted local option sales tax. The plan includes 4 roundabouts, 4 bridge replacements, and 1 bridge rehab. So a lot of work. We had a record year this year, and we're looking at very significant this year, and I think we're going to break the record even in a couple years. Oh, no, it's not working. No, it's not working.
Stop working?
I did something wrong. There we go. Here is all of the roads that we're going to do over the next 5 years, including this year. You can see a really good distribution throughout the county. There's a lot of color there, and we're proud of what we can do. It's some screwy. Next slide, please. All right. Here's a breakdown by mileage and year. So this year we're going to do 14 miles. Again, we're still doing a little bit less than we normally would for paving because we're still doing reconstruction projects. We have 2 roundabouts this year and finishing up County Road 115. If you're doing reconstruction, you can't get a lot of resurfacing. And so I'd expect that number to be higher if we weren't doing reconstructs. It picks up next year 27 miles of resurfacing, and then maxes out in 2026 at 44 miles of paving. That's a lot of paving. That's a lot of improved ride quality, and we're getting on top of our system. And you can see the other 2 miles. Any questions about, or 2 years, sorry. Questions about that one? Here's our ride quality index. You can see that it's a lot of greens. 10 years ago, it was a lot more red and orange and things like that. So I do my little trick every year. It's not going to work this year. If I was able to do my little trick where you toggle the 2, you'll see that the projects we have planned over the next 5 years coincide with a lot of the oranges and reds that are up there. And so just showing that we're spending the money where it's needed most in terms of the pavement quality. Next slide, please. The next one is what we've done over the last 5 years. I've started to include this to say if you, what we've did in the last 5 years. And if you combine the 2, we're touching a whole lot of roads over that 10-year span. 5 years ago and then 5 years in the future. So we're spending a lot of money and we have a lot of resources, and I'm really happy about that. Next slide is, this is a report on this of like how we're making progress on our plan to utilize local option sales tax and other sources to get on top of our deferments. Deferments are the road isn't conditioned past a threshold that we've established and don't have the money to do it. The ultimate goal is to be able to project in the 5th year that the pavement is going to just start being past our threshold and program it. So as soon as it gets bad and gets past our roughness threshold, we're planning it and it's in the program. We're getting really close to that. There's been, as I mentioned at the TAC meeting, there's some changes in some of our ADTs and our thresholds for pavement smoothness are tied to ADT. So you'll see a little bit of movement. Good grief. A little bit of movement in here going up, and that's because the threshold went up, so the scale moved up. So it might have been right at the cusp of being okay, but then our standard went up, and so it had to be smoother, so that ended up being deferred. I don't know, I hope you understand that. I explained it at the TAC meeting much better and more eloquently, I believe.
Traffic count went up, and so it went into a different category
Right.
for our goals, which
Exactly.
meant that the ADT, or I mean, the ride quality index had to be at a higher level because the
Right.
traffic counts were higher.
Right.
And so it moved into a new category.
Thank you. We want our highest volume roads to be the smoothest, and we can't allow some of our lower volume roads to be a little rougher and go a little bit farther. And so that's what he means by moving into a new category.
Is there any reason to think you won't catch up on those as well?
No. No, I'm not concerned by this. It comes over our line here, but I'm not concerned by that. And I still think we're going to get to our goal within the next, 5-7 years.
Tim, we always talk about the increase of traffic on roads. Have you seen anything, because of the traffic flows change with, state projects and stuff? Have you seen any roads actually go down?
I think there was a period during COVID when everybody went down.
Right, but
and that
I mean,
makes
you
it-
see roads that used to be a main road now because of other ways of getting there have gone down, or we just have enough people coming here where none of that's,
Not something that
What
that is
number?
noticeable, no. And traffic growth has kind of slowed over time. The decline in people driving during COVID has kind of thrown off our normal ways of projecting traffic. Normally is going up and up and up, but there's a dip.
Yep.
And if you just average it, it isn't really accurate. So we're looking for ways to better predict the traffic. In our long-range plan, transportation plan they're going to be working on this year, we'll address that and try to project what they are. It's actually a pretty slow growth rate, like 1% per year. Under that is what we're thinking. So there's nothing that's going to be, transition from a 2-lane to a 4-lane that I see in the near future anyway.
the one roundabout you show here out of Brainerd on, 25 and 210, is that one you were working together with the state on? That goes back a couple pages. I was just kind of looking at that one.
Forward or
Forward, back, what page, do you know?
Is that, it looked like it's in orange. Is it on, is there a page number for it? 81B,
A slide we've already seen?
packet
It's here on
page
58.
98 is what I'm seeing here. It was right after your,
what year?
it shows 26. Is that right? Is that where that,
Yeah, you said 98?
I wonder how big of a project that's going to be. Is that involving state too, right?
I
Well, I'm
missed where you're at.
Is it
packet
this?
page 98.
Is this it?
Yep.
That's
Where,
pages.
what junction? I'm sorry.
Well, is it a color blindness there, or it's right out of City of Brainerd showing that roundabout, or is that already in?
This one?
Yes.
That's the one at the junction.
Yep.
That's with the reconstruction of Washington Street through Brainerd. And so there will be a roundabout installed at the junction of 210 and 3. So right at Cub Foods, a Census used to be there, and that funeral home right there.
Brainerd Mall.
It's all Brainerd?
It's right next, it's the intersection right next to East Brainerd Mall.
Right, right.
There's currently a stoplight there. That's, the phasing's a little,
But does that involve
Little
us as far as County 25 then? Is that how that involves us?
it does involve us. It's our CASA 3 or the south end of Mill Avenue. It doesn't involve us with some cost participation. Pretty minor.
Okay, yeah.
The city and the state received some federal money, which really brings down our costs. So I think
Okay.
under $1 million is our
Okay.
cost share for that project.
Because 25 is a MnDOT road. But it's through the city of Brainerd.
Yeah, County Road 25, or State Highway 25 goes to the south. County Road 3 goes to the north. It used to be a state highway up to Merrifield, and it was,
That's what
when the bypass went in, there was a lot of horse trading, and we ended up with Mill Avenue and the Mill Avenue Bridge and old Highway State Highway 25. So,
Okay. Thank you.
okay, let's see, where was I?
Go back down.
Next slide, please. Every year we include changes from the previous year, and I've pointed this out before. When we put it in our 5-year plan, it's a promise to the public, and we do our homework up front to make sure that we can deliver it with our staff and the money that we have, so we don't renege on a promise. And I'm happy to say that we very rarely move anything around or move it backwards. The good thing is that we were able to move a few things up this year. We also had received some new federal money that allowed us to interject a new project. So I just draw your attention to the very last line. We got some federal money to include some centerline rumble strips. This is a really good safety additive to our roadways. And then also we added some federal funds. We were awarded that HSIP grant, or the Highway Safety Improvement Plan grant, on 48. This is the one that Matt Kelroos had done the hard work on. So that's added. And the other only noteworthy one really is that we're moving the landscaping project up 1 year at County Road 115. So we anticipated to do the final landscaping in 2025, but we feel because they moved the project about a mile farther than we anticipated last year, we were able to get to that in a timely manner this year. So we combined the two landscaping projects into a single year. It'll be all done this year. Next slide. Here's just a summary of 2020, what we're going to do this year. So the roundabout in Cross Lake, the roundabout at 3 and 4 north of Merrifield, and the mill and overlay, or the surface treatment on the Deerwood Cutoff at CSAH 12 are our most significant projects that we're going to have this year. The 3 and 4 roundabout is out for bids right now. We're hopefully within a couple weeks of getting our bids out for the roundabout in Cross Lake, and then also the Deerwood Cutoff. Next slide, please. In the next slide, this is what we're projecting. These are all new to you. For 2028, I call it the out year of the 5-year plan. It's the first time you've seen this. These are our suggestions for the roads that need it coming up in 2028. We'd expect this to grow over time as we learn more, as more federal money and other funding sources come in. So this is a pretty light looking year, but it will grow over the next 5 years. The most significant probably is another roundabout south of Cross Lake at County Road 36, 3, and 103. This has been a challenging area and actually has had at least one fatality over the years. And there's a lot of traffic. It's very difficult to get out of there. So that's our suggestion for 2028. There's also a couple bridge replacements that are significant. One on 36, just east of 6, I believe. And then also 136 off of, near Emily, north of CSAH 1. Any questions about that? Okay, next slide.
It amazes me how much work goes into, because these projects don't come out easy. You've got to do a lot of homework ahead of time because you got to plan it so far ahead of time. And it's a pretty complete,
Yeah, we work hard at the 5 years, we identify it and then work on it for 5 years. There's some that come in, like the Cross Lake one, that we got the money just 2 years ago and we crammed a whole lot into 2 short years. It's been amazing that we're this close to bid letting. But it's good to identify it, promise it to the public, knowing what we're going to do, and it's not shuffling around like some of the other agencies. I'm really proud of what we're able to do. And that helps us plan and deliver.
And I think it would help the communities, as long as they know that 2 or 3 years down the road, we're going to be doing a project in that area. It would really help those communities to know that. And if they can help align with it on some of their other projects in their own communities.
Absolutely.
Because you have the plan out there, there's no reason they can't start ramping up some of their plans to be cooperative with the county and some of these projects that are being done.
Exactly. We will, after approval, or if adopted, we will publish this for the public to use. Every year, we solicit our partners at the townships and cities to take a look, see if there's anything, if we're working in their area, and somehow they could latch onto it and get some economy of scale savings. I also go to the annual township meetings and talk about this and publish and solicit partnerships each year, so, and it's been successful. Next slide. Sorry. We also do the same thing for the first assessment district. Those are all the roads that we're planning to do over the next 5 years. There's a detailed list there that's in your packet. Next slide, please. And this is just a summary of the miles that we do. If you recall back, some of you were here when we were talking about making sure had the ability to do the maintenance and the necessary construction to handle the 60 miles of road in the first assessment district. And our goal was to be able to have enough funds in the system to do that maintenance as well as do 3 miles per year at least. And so that average of all those numbers on the right, it does come up to 3 miles. Some years are lower, but then we catch up in 2026. We're watching the pavement quality just like we are on the county system. Next slide. And then the road, we do track the ride quality index out there. It's a little tougher than on the county system. They're long continuous runs, and the fancy van from MnDOT can take much better readings rather than bouncing down a cul-de-sac that might be 800 feet long. So some of these are utilizing the van and technology through MnDOT. Others are just visual inspection by our staff and to kind of determine those. But we use the same methodology. Any questions about that one? And then just talking about the local option sales tax, I also provide, this is what that local option sales tax has done over the over the previous 5 years, just what we've been able to accomplish, and we would not be able to have done any of that if the local option sales tax was not in place. Next slide. Same thing, this is the previous 5 years in the first assessment district. You can see we're doing a lot of work. There's 60 miles of dead-end cul-de-sacs and roads, and we're one by one addressing them as it's needed. Next slide. And I think this is just another one where we've accomplished over the last 5 years. And questions? And if not, next slide. Next slide is if I'd be happy to answer any questions or concern you have. We've incorporated the comments that you've provided us over the last about 4 weeks or so since March 5th, and made some small changes to projects, and we put in some actual bids in some cases, and we've incorporated those changes, and I'm asking for approval of this, the 24 to 28 highway improvement plan as submitted, and it's in your packet.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lebke.
Aye. Thank you very much, Tim.
Mr. Chair, can I just
Yes.
make a quick comment? I would just make a comment for the public's benefit, that we have, the county board has a lot of committees, and we actually have a transportation advisory committee where each one of us has an appointed person on there that gives us good advice, and then of course it's all 5 county commissioners. And so we've actually went through this plan thoroughly. I think it was the first part of March.
March 5th.
Yep.
I think the meeting was about 4 hours. So just to let the public know that, sometimes you tune into these board meetings and you say, geez, that went kind of quick. Budget committee is usually 2 hours. Personnel is usually 2 hours, and a lot of the work is done in those committees. The public they're all open to the public. They're certainly welcome to come to these meetings, but that's where we have our in-depth conversation, and then it comes to the board after we've had a good vetting at those committee meetings. It's a good process, I think. Just a comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I guess we're done?
Mr. Chair, I've just another comment. I've spent a lot of years watching engineers plan their work and work their plan.
I know.
And it is fun to watch because what we know is that what Tim just presented in that 5-year plan is going to happen.
Yeah. It's a promise.
And just to know, for the public, when are we going to do this road? It's going to be this year. And when we say it's going to be this year, we mean it's going to be this year. It's not usually 1 year earlier, 1 year later. It's usually right in the year. And so people can plan the disruptions that are going to come. People can make plans accordingly. And so it's just amazing, frankly, your staff. I know this looks very sanitary, to Commissioner Coring's point. It looks very sanitary. It's not. There's a heck of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making this look sanitary. And it is good staff work by lots of people working really hard in the trenches. And so thanks to the staff for putting this together and for keeping us on that path of plan your work and then work your plan. It's just very impressive.
And since our county engineer has been here, I don't think we've ever not delivered, so thank you very much. You're very good at your job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, Sheriff, do you have anything?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the sheriff didn't have anything on the agenda today, but if you have any questions or concerns that you would like to have answered, I'm open for any questions you might have.
Anybody on the board? Commissioner Coring?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank
you.
you for being here. County Attorney?
Mr. Ryan could not be here, but I am, and he didn't have anything for the board, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Anybody from the board? Thank you, Stephanie. County Administrator?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we canceled the senior management team meeting this morning, but we do have one coming up a week from today, so I'll have more to report to you at the next board meeting. We do have a guest with us today that I would like to introduce, Nick Broyles, the new city administrator from the city of Brainerd. I have briefed you that Tim and I went over and met with him last week, and we invited him to come and meet you. So Nick, why don't you come forward and maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself. And Tim talked about partnerships, right? And it is partnerships with other local units of government who are slogging along trying to do the same good public services that we are. And so the opportunity to partner with the city of Brainerd, with the city of Cross Lake, with our townships around the county, those are really important to us. And we try to work together, not at cross purposes. And it was just refreshing to meet Nick the other day and thought you guys might like to as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you, sir. My name is Nick Broyles, and again, as Tim mentioned, I've been in place for 6 or 7 weeks now. And just my background, very briefly, I'm similar to Tim Bray. I'm a 20-year retired military guy, so we'll compare war stories someday. But very impressed with the presentation today. I think they've got a great staff, so I'm going to try to steal some of that stuff and cannibalize off some good ideas from the county. I will say, you know, aside from my military career, I did work for Meade County out of Sturgis, South Dakota as the highway superintendent for about 3 years. And then I was with the city of Spearfish for a couple of years as planning and public works prior to coming here. So originally from Fergus Falls, good to be back in the area. I met Commissioner
Lubke.
I don't know if it's Lubke or Lubke. Just want to make sure.
Close.
Thank you, sir. Met him at the EDA meeting. Was that EDA last week?
No, that was at the Blade Act. Yeah, it was at Blade Act's board meeting.
So we got to visit for a few minutes. So look forward to meeting all of you as time and conditions permit, and looking forward to working with the county. Congratulations, Tim, we've talked a little bit. I think you have you have a retirement sometime in the next year or two, sounds like, perhaps, so congratulations.
Absolutely.
I'm going to pick his brain. I think he's got a wealth of knowledge, so, it's a pleasure to be here, and please reach out to the city if you guys need anything, and we'll be happy to work with the county. I think it's going to be a good relationship, and it's critical. I've been in places where county and cities don't get along, and that's not good, so.
Yes.
But it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to getting to know all of you.
Welcome to town. Can you hang around a little bit, too? We're just about done. Mr. Chair, members of the board, I do have a request for board action. In your packet, it is to change the date of the Natural Resources Advisory Committee meeting. You remember, we publish a calendar at the beginning of the year, and that's all of our regular meetings. And so any deviation from that calendar is technically a special meeting. It's not really that special, but it's just that's the word that's in the statute. So we are asking that you move that regular meeting from July 3rd to July 10th, and it's just because of the holiday. So it would be a special meeting on July 10th, but it's more close to a regular meeting, just moving the date.
I'll make the motion to move the meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Roll call.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to answer questions about that or anything else related to county government.
Anybody have anything for Administrator Gould? If not,
Mr. Chair, that is all we have unless you have additional business.
Motion to adjourn.
you made a motion to adjourn? Okay. Motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Roll call.
Commissioner Hoag? Aye. Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. We stand adjourned.